There are two differences in these shows this week. Now, we have reached the end of the wrestling week, and TNA, I will say, far outshines SmackDown this week. And it's all, in my opinion, this is through my eyes now, all because of Dixie Carter. Now, I really didn't care much for Dixie Carter becoming a heel because she just seemed like one of those women that act like she's better than everybody, and then all of a sudden she crumbles and falls and things fall apart. But I have to say that she really does impress me now being a heel. She kind of reminds me of Vince McMahon back in the day, but the only difference is that Vince McMahon had a crew behind him. He had the corporation. This is just her working on her own and manipulating things as things go along. She's recruiting people, but she didn't recruit a group. I guess she has maybe two people on her side, Rockstar Spud and her nephew, but those are the only two folks that I personally see. But the fact that she put hits out on people throughout the entire show and manipulated her way to get the ending that she wanted really did work out pretty well, in my opinion, storyline-wise. You don't necessarily see that anymore. Now, I can go into a comparison with WWE, but I'm going to leave that for my SmackDown review. But right now, for TNA, I will say that this show has a lot of potential to be great. The only thing that I really have a problem with is bromance. And, of course, everyone doesn't like Robbie E. And I see why. The fact that he completely missed his mark and flew right past Joseph Park really shows me that I don't know where his brain is at. And also the fact that bromance as a whole didn't necessarily have a lot of wins behind them, but then all of a sudden they end up being tag team champs. And they're really degrading the belts, in my opinion. Let alone Zema Ion, who was one of the best heels that I've ever seen and was one of my favorites. But then all of a sudden he become a glorified DJ and, well, one of the worst DJs I've ever heard in my entire life. And yeah, it's a shame. The guy has a lot of potential, but I wouldn't be surprised if his injuries really made him become the character that he is. But besides all that, throughout the night, I will say that I was really impressed with how things went along. It stayed germane to the storyline. There was no deviations off. Maybe there was a few, especially with the whole Kurt Angle thing, but it still was a great show. I mean, it was a good show to watch. It was interesting, in my opinion, and I really honestly liked it. And the fact that, well, I thought it was interesting how she recruited Lady Tappa to take out ODB, but that was still pretty good. It still stuck to the storyline, and it made it interesting as time goes along. Even though the ending was cheesy and predictable, it still was the purpose of what Dixie was trying to do, screw over AJ. And in the very beginning, she had annihilated all of AJ's allies for him to pretty much be close to being alone at the very end. And either or, AJ lost out, she won, boom, there you go. And I like the way that goes. Because you have a main point, a main plot point of the show, and you want to stick to something better on the very end. And that's exactly what they did. And even though, yeah, it's not as over the top as WWE, but I will say the quality was a lot better than WWE this week. And I tip my imaginary hat off to TNA, and I really do believe that this show is going to be a great show. I mean, it has a lot more potential than WWE ever had. And never underestimate the underdog, in my opinion. But let's move on to SmackDown, shall we? What is there to move on to? I will say that SmackDown was probably one of the most bland, mediocre shows I've ever watched, with random matches that had nothing to do with the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble is 2 weeks away. And right now, they should do everything in their power to hype up this pay-per-view, especially the fact that you're hyping up your WWE Network, which is awesome, by the way, and I really am thinking about getting it. But regardless of that, you want to hype up one of your big four pay-per-views and get more people to watch it. They haven't really done anything to promote it, and they've done nothing but promoting the Wyatt family, which is great. But my biggest problem with this whole Wyatt family storyline is they're focusing too much on Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan he's already over as a heel. I mean, he was over as a heel at one time, and he's even more over as a face. But the fact that you broke him and made him a Wyatt member is something I still don't agree with, and you already know my views on that. But my biggest gripe is the fact that they're still giving Daniel Bryan a voice. They're still giving him a potential to be a leader of the Wyatt family. No. No, 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 no. And the reason why I'm saying that is because he's supposed to be broken. He's supposed to be brainwashed and broken. He's not supposed to have a voice. He's supposed to be a drone. Because if he was a drone, it would take all the attention away from him and still leave it on the Wyatts. If he keeps having a voice, it's going to take all the attention away from Bray Wyatt, all the attention away from the Minions, and all the attention away from the Wyatt family as a whole, and focus on DB and literally kind of erase them out a little bit, which is something that you don't want to do, especially the fact this is the only psychotic faction in the entire WWE. You don't want to mess it up by having Daniel Bryan, somebody who is way over, to be a part of this group when you put too much focus on him. It's going to erase the Wyatt family as a whole, and it's going to mess the whole thing up. That's how I personally see about it. But throughout the night, it was nothing but random matches right and left. And sure, they promoted the Usos versus the Wyatt family, but why are we seeing it twice? Why are we seeing the Minions versus the Usos, and then on Monday Night Raw, we're going to see the main guys versus the Usos? Why are we seeing DB versus Bray Wyatt on Monday Night Raw? I mean, it makes no sense. It's like literally it's like Groundhog Day, seeing the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, that's kind of how I see it. But throughout the whole night, it was just random. Like, just random crap just thrown up on there. Really had nothing to do with the Royal Rumble. And then the ending, sure, we had an old school ending with the New Age Outlaws and CM Punk versus the Shield. But I don't want to see the New Age Outlaws anymore. I want old school to remain old school. I wanted the New Age Outlaws to do their thing and then leave. And then you focus on the future. But instead, they bring them back to have another match with CM Punk and the Shield. Why? Like, seriously, leave the old school guys where they are, doing their own thing, and leave them be, and then focus on your future. Because they're going to have so much hype about this. I mean, so they're going to literally go and revert to so much of their past to where it's going to really not have any focus on their future and nobody's going to care. But they keep doing this, and they're going to consistently do it, and they're just going to end up failing on their own, so I'm just going to leave that alone. But I still think that the ending was whatever. It was lame. But the one segment that I was really surprised to see was a Miz segment, to actually see Miz TV. The Miz, you really haven't seen him a lot more often. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know, maybe he got married to Maurice. I have no idea. But the fact that they had a Miz segment with the Big Show, it could have been better than what it was. And it really wasn't. Sure, the Big Show comes out and calls out Brock Lesnar, and yeah, we end up getting his rep. And good grief. The be on the real, if you ever play a drinking game with anything that Paul Heyman has to say, you will be drunk. No, you will be hammered out of your mind with how many times he says Brock Lesnar. Like, you will be drunk. You will be drunk out of your mind with every time he says that man's name. But regardless of that, we end up getting him as a rep, and that was an absolute given. But still, it was like a completely regular, mediocre night that could have been better leading on up to the Royal Rumble, which is supposed to be leading on up to the road to WrestleMania. You gotta start now, people. It is 2 weeks away for the Royal Rumble, and there's barely any hype. Sure, you got Alberto Del Rio talking about he's going to be in the Rumble. Sure, you got Batista in the Rumble. That's all you got. You need to do a little bit more than that for 2 weeks, especially if you're promoting your WWE network, where you're going to be showing this stuff for free for those that pay $10, which in a way it really wouldn't be for free. But other than that, guys, this was a very stale, bland, mediocre SmackDown, and I will say that TNA really did impress me, especially with Dixie Carter. But I want to hear y'all's views about TNA Impact as well as WWE SmackDown. Leave your comments in the comment section below and send me a video response on how you feel about both shows, or whether or not you're going to watch Genesis or the Royal Rumble this year. Leave your comments in the comment section below and let me know how you feel. This is Girl 30 signing off. Peace out.